What is going on, everybody, and welcome back once again. My name is Jordan, also known as J Monster, and thank you for joining me for the third Age Reforged replay battle. This one is very special. It is a 4 vs 4 roleplay battle, and it is part of a series of ongoing campaigns that is being done, roleplay campaigns in particular, that are being done on the official third Age Reforged Discord. So this scenario is the forces of Harad trying to take a piece of territory from the kingdom of Dol Amroth, who are backed up by an auxiliary army sent from Gondor to support them. And there's a couple of things to note in this battle. One, there are two mercenary companies in the employ of the Haradrim armies, and mercenaries are a little bit unreliable, but can sometimes be helpful. They are very good for padding out your army's numbers. They do have some decent troops, but they are represented almost uniquely, I believe, by Eriador. So they're not like the best kind of frontline army, but they're very nice for kind of padding your numbers in a pinch. But they can be very, very unreliable. They can betray you. If they decide that they don't want to support you in a battle, like if it's a lost cause, they will just hightail it out of there. They will deploy with you and then just rout off the field of battle, leaving you high and dry, taking your money and your dreams with them. Second, they can also deploy against you if the attacking forces decide that they want to, or the opposite side rather, decides that they want to buy them out. That mercenary company can accept that offer and deploy alongside them against you, which can very quickly turn to the tide of a battle that maybe you thought you had in the bag. The final rule, which is very important, is that your generals are extremely valuable. If they die, your army is not only destroyed, but it has to immediately rout off of the battlefield and leave the rest of the forces to fend for themselves. So very, very quickly, things can turn around with the loss of a general. So for example, if in the first 30 seconds, your general is sniped by a trebuchet, you have to flee that battle and take no further part in it. Very, very brutal. So let's go ahead and take a look at the army compositions, and let's jump right into the battle. The first is one of the armies of Dol Amroth. This is being commanded by Metalized. He has 2 units of dismounted Swan Knights, 2 units of Dornier Lancers, 2 units of J.R.R. Marksmen, 2 units of Coastal Wardens, 1 unit, I believe, of Haven Guard. You can see down here, that is his general's bodyguard unit. He's also got 3 units of Dol Amroth Pikemen, and I think that's the entirety of his force. The second army of Dol Amroth is being commanded by Miles the Dale Slayer. He's got 1 unit of Haven Guard, 2 units of Swan Knights, 4 units, I believe, of Dol Amroth Pikemen, 2 units of Tirithare Knights, and up here he's got, I believe, 3 units of Dol Amroth Archers. The next army, which I believe this is the Royal Army, which is one of the more powerful armies available to the Dol Amroth faction, is being commanded by Vaughn Mountain. He's got 2 units of Knights of the Silver Swan, 2 units of Swan Knights, 2 units of Nimrodal Rangers, 3 units of Tirithare Marksmen. He's also got 2 units of Dol Amroth Pikes, 1 unit, I believe, of Haven Guard, which doesn't have a general in it. Actually, his general is inside of this unit of White Knights. He's also got a couple units of Dol Amroth Men-at-Arms and 2 units of Tirithare Wardens. The fourth and final defending army is being commanded by Zenixia. And this is the auxiliary force that has been sent from Gondor. He's got 2 units of Citadel Guard, 2 units of Fountain Guard. Very powerful army. I think he's got like 3 units of Guards of Osgiliath. 2 or 3 units of Gondor Archers, a couple units of Ithilien Rangers, 3, I believe, units of Gondor Infantry, and 1 unit of Pelargir Marines to top it all off. So let's go ahead and let's take a look at the attacking factions now. The first is a mercenary company under Sin of the Dark Cloud. He's got 3 units of Battle-Ready Dunedain, 1 unit of Cardolin Elders. I think he's got a couple units of Cardolin Royal Guard mixed in there as well. He's got 3 units, I believe, of Gatekeepers, who are really nice crossbows, some of the best missile units that Eriador has available to them. He's also got 1 or 2 units of Cardolin Warband to top it all off. The second mercenary company is being commanded by Donald Kingslayer, and he's got, I believe, 2 or 3 units of Greenway Guards, a couple units of Cardolin Royal Guard, 3 units of Battle-Ready Dunedain, 1 unit of Grey Company, which you can see over there on his right flank, 1 unit of Cardolin Footmen, and I think 1 or 2 units of Archer Militia, some Gatekeepers, a lot of Lumbermen, and in his vanguard you can see 2 units of Bandit Light Infantry. The third attacking force is one of the armies of Harad. This is being commanded by Teemo. And one thing to note here is that we have a lot of veteran players in this battle. Teemo, Sin of the Dark Cloud are all people that are very familiar with Third Age Reforged. So this is going to be a hell of a battle. He's got 1 unit of Narunar Royal Archers, which I believe is his general's bodyguard. Yeah, I think that's his general right there. 2 units of Dismounted Serpent Guard, 1 unit of Trollmen of Harad, 2 or 3 units of Muhat Tribesmen, and a sea of Haradrim Archers and Haradrim Spears. Look at this. There's just so many of these guys. I don't think he has any cavalry available to him, which is unfortunate for Haradrim. But The fourth and final attacking force is under Saint Toady the Pacifist. This is kind of one of the more low-tier Harad forces. As his general's bodyguard, I believe he has 1 unit of Castamir's Chosen, 1 unit of Trollmen from his elite corps, and a ton of Corsair light infantry. Look at this. There's like 4 or 5 units of Corsairs in there. 3 to 4 units of Corsair Savages, and there's some light Corsair Archers thrown into the mix as well. I think they might be hiding. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and let's get the battle started. Kicking off the battle, we have a huge charge forward here by Teemo. Look at this. He's got just a sea of Haradrim Spearmen and Haradrim Archers moving forward. And there's a very important reason why they are doing this. Look at this. You can see this very nice defensive position that Gondor is maintaining in here across this bridge. Their strategy is going to be to funnel as many of their troops across that bridge as possible. You can see these allied armies now beginning to fall back into that defensive position. And given the disparity in the quality of troops between the two factions, it's really going to be down to the Haradrim forces to try and cut them off. If they can isolate these Gondor armies and begin to surround them, then they can potentially win this battle. I think that is their only hope of pulling this off. But Gondor is not going to let them do that so easily. You can see a cavalry screen being brought forth here by Miles the Dale Slayer, some Tirthair Knights charging into the face of these Haradrim Spearmen. Teemo's going to pull back his archers now at the last second, and these guys are going to find themselves very quickly surrounded by a horde of angry Haradrim spear-wielding warriors. Look at this. These Tirthair Knights now trying to flee through this unit of spearmen, inflicted some light casualties, but also taking a number of them in return, especially with that incoming arrow fire. But Miles the Dale Slayer, undaunted, is going to charge back into the fight with his Tirthair Knights, his second unit of them now. And I think things are going to go much, much worse for these guys, because now the archers are in position. You can see his ally, Donald Kingslayer, bringing in his mercenary axemen to begin to hack down these Tirthair Knights. And they're going to suffer just grievously in their retreat. Look at this. They've now been heavily reduced down to 17-14. Wow, huge loss for those troops. But seemingly as if to make up for it, Von Mountain charging up some of his Swan Knights, just pancaking this unit of lumbermen and actually causing them to rout. So we've got some routing here already on the part of the attacking forces, which is kind of a little bit unsurprising given the quality of their soldiers. But now metallized in here, this is a team effort here. All of their cavalry concentrated on this screen, trying to hold back Teemo and prevent him from into position to cut off this Gondor retreat, which you can see now is underway. Yeah, Von Mountain and Zenixia moving their troops very quickly across the bridge, while the rest of the Gondorians here put up a valiant defense. Oh, look at this. Looks like some of the mercenary bandits here managed to skirt behind the enemy lines, but they found themselves staring down the lance, rather, of a unit of Swan Knights, and that went very, very badly for them. But look at this. Another threat now looming on the horizon. Center of the Dark Cloud bringing in a large number of spearmen, so it's not going to be quite so easy for these Swan Knights this time. They are going to manage to get in there and deal a lot of damage, it would seem, to this Cardolan warband, but they're going to have to pull out very quickly because there's a lot of archers and a lot of spearmen moving into the area. So, yeah, no casualties on these Swan Knights, but still, very close call for that unit. And look at this. Von Mountain, I don't think, has realized what's going on, or realized it too late, and he wasn't able to pull back his Nimrodal Rangers, but they're going to find themselves now face-to-face with a lot of mercenaries. His Haven Guard now being committed to this fight. I think there's a couple units of these Haven Guard in here as well. Yeah, this might be the entirety of Von Mountain's very powerful elite infantry force. Look at this. Some of these Nimrodal Rangers now trying to flee behind the lines of these Fountain Guard. But it looks like these guys are now going to get caught in the rear by this unit of Cardolan warband, who I believe are armor-piercing, so they could potentially do a lot of damage to these Tirthair marksmen and to these Fountain Guard. This could be a big loss, I think, for the Gondorian forces. More and more Cardolan warband. Although it looks like now they are broken. They got a little bit too far ahead of themselves and are now kind of trapped in here between some cavalry and these Tirthair marksmen, which is a very bad place for them to be. Over here in the center, things looking a little bit better for them. You can see them beginning to overlap this unit of Knights of the Silver Swan, who I think are going to very quickly find themselves cut off from any sort of retreat. Because even this back line here of Dol Amroth men-at-arms, and I believe there were some Tirthair marksmen as well, they got caught in the fray. Now this back line is beginning to be engaged by the Haradrim armies, so there's nowhere for these cavalry left to run now. Look at this, more and more spears coming in here. So this is very good for the attacking players, but they weren't really able to catch anything significant from the Gondorians. Most of their troops have managed to get across the bridge here, and now begin to take up defensive positions inside of this essentially a fortress. This is a natural fortress now that the defenders are in command of. And oh, pardon me. I think that is going to be absolutely a disaster for the attacking forces, because it's going to be so hard for them to push through all of these choke points now. Just 2 bridges that lead across the river with the light infantry forces that they've been allowed to take in this battle. And these Corsair archers, or these Corsair savages rather, now trying to place themselves in front of the advance of these guards of Osgiliath, try and wipe out this big blob of Gondor troops. That would be a huge victory, I think, for the attacking forces. This is a very significant portion of Zenixia's infantry, and if they can manage to surround this and destroy it, or pepper it down with arrows, which is what they're doing right now, then that's going to be a really, really nice victory for those attackers who need it, honestly. I mean, look at this. Look at this vast force here. The siege of these choke points is already underway, but I think this is going to be an uphill battle for these light Haradrim and mercenary forces. Saint-Toaded Pacifist moving forward, a unit of Corsair archers is about to begin bombarding, I believe, this pike unit. This is really a bad position for this pike unit to be in. They are so vulnerable to missiles, and even though Corsair archers aren't exactly the greatest, it won't take too much, I think, to reduce this pikeman unit down to nothing. It looks like they're taking some friendly fire, or getting shot through a mountain somehow by a unit of, this is the Nar Royal Guard over there. Apparently managing to get some nice flank shots off on this pikeman unit, and they're going to very quickly melt in the face of that arrow assault. And if they can manage to destroy this unit and quickly move infantry over the bridge, they will establish the foothold that they so desperately need on this side of the river. Because look at this. There's so many Gondor forces who have managed to get across the river and take up their positions over on the other side. See Zenixia now moving up some Athelian Rangers, moving them up onto this ridge to support the archers of Miles the Daleslayer, a few units of Dol Amroth archers in a great position. Look at this, to rain death and destruction down upon the attackers as they advance across this bridge. And at the same time, look at this. I think these are, more archers from Zenixia moving up on top here to support the Coastal Wardens of Metalized. This is a very formidable skirmish line. That's any troops that make it across here, no matter how quickly, even if they manage to take down this pikeman unit in the next, like, say, 30 seconds and get troops across, they're going to have to contend with the archer perches and this line of javelin men. And you can see a couple units of Tirithir marksmen up here as well from Metalized. Great positioning. Let's see what we got here. Looks like we have some mercenary gatekeepers and some of the Corsair archers now backing each other up, moving into position to begin bombarding this pikeman unit. And you can see that skirmish line I was just talking about a moment ago beginning to form an open fire up here. You can see the Tirithir marksmen raining death down upon these lightly armored Corsairs. What are we doing over here? Big push here. Yeah, these guards of Osgiliath now heavily reduced. Zenixia was not able to get, it would seem, most of his pikemen across the river unscathed. He is going to be able to save, I believe, most of them, but not a single one of his unit has managed to escape from the Haradrim's clutches without taking a little bit of casualties. So small victories can sometimes snowball into large victories. So maybe we can see the attackers begin to turn this battle around. All these poor pikemen stuck against these Corsair savages, making a final stand here on this bridge, fighting back to back with their brothers. Don't think it's going to be enough though. You can see them getting to fall here. This is a pretty desperate position for those Corsairs. Look at this. Look at all of these archers. They're just peppering these guys. See, they've pretty much managed to destroy an entire unit of Corsair savages, which are AP units, and the attackers desperately need this because you've seen just how much heavy infantry the defenders have. Look at this nice bird's eye view. Looks like we can see some. No, this is the retreat of the Dol Amroth archers. So I think we're moved down here by Miles the Slayer to maybe potentially counter these Corsair savages. I think they're probably going to take position up on this ramp there. That'd be a nice spot for them to be. That's definitely what I would do. Zenixia beginning to form lines here with Miles the Daleslayer. You can see a unit of pikes supporting this Gondor infantry unit. Oh, no, never mind. Apparently they're going to pull out. I don't know. Who knows what they're doing. But these Gondor infantry by Zenixia, or from Zenixia, now in shield wall formation, holding this bridge against the Corsair savages. These guys are AP, but they do not have very much armor, and mostly rely on their melee defense to ward off blows. I don't think they actually have any armor saves whatsoever. So unsupported, this is going to be a very difficult fight for this light Corsair unit, despite the fact that they are armor and piercing, and definitely in terms of their damage stats made to counter a heavily armored unit such as this Gondor infantry. Let's go take a look over here. Some light Corsairs pushing against, pushing on the left-hand bridge, fighting against more of the Gondor infantry from Zenixia. I believe he actually has 4 units of these in total, so I might have been off a little bit in the army compositions. But they're really struggling to penetrate the lines of these Gondor infantry. Even with that arrow support coming in, you can see they're not really able to hit too many of their troops, just kind of most of the arrows gliding harmlessly overhead and impacting the ground behind them. But look at this. These troops from Zenixia up here are just very bunched up, but this is perfect for them to just fire straight on into those Corsair archers. And look at this, more Nimrodal Rangers up here. Looking a little bit sad, a little bit heavily reduced. They did get caught in the retreat a little bit, but there's still quite a lot of them left, and they're just going to destroy those poor Corsair archers. Look at this. Absolute devastation. Yeah, that Corsair archer now stopping firing so that those units up there drop it as a target so they can hide on the bridge. Nice, smart play by St. Toady the Pacifist. And look at this. Now that they've switched to another target, I think he's going to try and ambush them with his Corsair archers and begin firing at them once again. There we go, get the camera in position. That's really, really good tactics on the part of St. Toady the Pacifist. That's some clever play. Look at this over here. This bridge has just been a nightmare for both factions. You can see the Cardinal Royal Guard here from Sin of the Dark Cloud. Now moving forward to help Toady the Pacifist push through this unit of Gondor infantry. It does say that these guys are going to win the fight, but I don't think I believe it. The Corsairs have the numbers, and you can see the Gondor infantry beginning to fall quite quickly, and with the arrival of these Cardinal Royal Guard, I think this engagement will turn around in favor of the attackers pretty shortly. Yeah, I've got some archers from Miles the Dale Slayer. I never really know what to call him. He changes his name practically every video I see him in. So yeah, I guess a little bit confusing. And I think most of the archers up here, they might be running a little bit low on ammo. These Gondor Rangers now holding position from Zenixia, waiting for an opportune moment. Although there's some Haradrim archers right there, they could quickly take them down and increase the missile disparity between the attackers and the defenders a little bit further. But these guys aren't really doing anything right now, not posing a threat, so I guess he doesn't feel that it's worth it. Still, the attackers have lost quite a lot. Look at this, 49. Wow, 49 to 23. This is a huge disparity, but their forces are so vast. Look at this, and they haven't even begun to commit their elite forces yet. In fact, I don't even see them. Yeah, look at this. Some Serpent Guard here. You got some Cardinal Footmen now moving forward, and lots of battle-ready Dunedain. So the attackers are definitely still in this. They're just kind of getting rid of they're separating the wheat from the chaff, as it were, in terms of their warriors. Over here, though, they have established a bridgehead. Now I think would be a good time to try and rush some of their elite forces in, but unfortunately the attackers are really out of position and not able to do that at the moment. So I think they definitely need to try and exploit this bridgehead here, because they desperately need a stronghold on the other side of the river, because otherwise the attackers or the defenders rather are just going to keep bottling them up and riddling them with arrows, and that's really going to very quickly cascade into a defeat, I think, for the attackers. Although they are bringing out some Corsair light infantry to that right-hand bridge, so maybe they're going to finally get the bridgehead that they need, bridgehead that they need on the other side of the river. Over here, things not looking so great, unfortunately. It looks like some of the lumbermen have moved in to support those Corsairs. We're kind of being hacked down by that Gondor infantry unit. It's the same infantry unit, and look how far they've pushed up this bridge. They're just driving the mercenaries back. Even these lumbermen, who are, again, AP, but don't have the defensive stats necessary to go against even the baseline Gondor heavy infantry like this. Really difficult struggle for them. I think the better plan at this point would be, although it is very risky given how many archers the defenders still have available to them, would be to move some of their heavy infantry forward and use them as kind of the spearhead and support that push with some light infantry. See some more arrow fire now coming into these Gondor infantry in the back, trying to thin out the reserves of Zenixia. This one unit of Gondor infantry has done so much on its own. I can only imagine what another fresh and full-strength unit will do to the attacking forces. So I think they recognize that threat, and they're going to try and thin these guys out as best as they can. Although it's going to be pretty tough for them, seeing as they are in shield wall formation and thus very well protected. Look at this. Looks like those Corsairs have just kind of skirted right by their allies who need them down at that choke point, and they're just kind of running uphill and getting into a fight with some Swan Knights. Now, I really don't think this is a good use of the Corsairs. These guys are light infantry. They do have pretty decent attack values, but they are not armor piercing, and I think can very quickly be bested by these dismounted Swan Knights. This is going to be a tough fight for them. Yeah, see, look at this. Now they're going to be able to be surrounded because this position down here no longer has the soldiers necessary to maintain it. So I think this is a bit of a mistake here on the part of St. Toady. Oh man, these Gondor infantry. They're all quite heavily reduced. They could still break through on this side and use up more of the attack or the defending heavy infantry. It looks like that might be what Sin of the Dark Cloud is planning on doing. Look at this. A charge here from his battle-ready Dunedain. Moving into the fray, they're going to carve up these Gondorian infantry. They do not have a chance against a very powerful unit like this that, of course, has the AP necessary to push through massed ranks of heavy infantry.
Only half the enemy force remains.
See if they're going to support that with anything. Looks like he is. He's going to move in some of his Greenway guards to give this line here a little bit more staying power and a little bit more numbers needed. Oh, would you look at this? Sin of the Dark Cloud has some Dunedain Rangers. I did not see them before. His troops were a little bit bunched up. I couldn't quite see them all. And he has some Dunedain Rangers now putting down some fire into the flank of those dismounted Swan Knights. Nice job on his part, capitalizing, I think, on the mistake made by the Harad player and turning it into a beneficial situation. So nicely done there. See some Haradrim archers and a lot of gatekeepers now doing the same. If these Corsair infantry, they might not hang on for too much longer, but if they do manage to, they could deal a lot of damage to the massed ranks of these Dol Amroth heavy infantry up there on the hill. We got some more archers coming in here from Teemo. I think they have pretty much a similar plan now. Maybe this was their plan the whole time, was to throw away those Corsairs to allow their archers a little bit of time to do work. And yeah, Miles definitely sees what's happening there. He's going to begin to pull the rest of his troops now back up that hill. Let's see here. The reserve is beginning to thin out a little bit. The elites still haven't been committed, and there's still quite a lot of Dunedain left as well. So I think if they really begin to push hard here, that the attackers could break across this bridge and really begin to push through these choke points here, because really most of the defending infantry is a lot of spearmen, a lot of heavily armored spearmen, but spearmen nonetheless. So a lot of sword infantry, especially like those Dunedain. They have like 5 or so units remaining. Could really turn the tide of this battle if they commit them quickly. Looks like Sin of the Dark Cloud here agrees apparently and is moving now his Dunedain battle-ready Dunedain into these Tirthair Wardens and beginning to cut them down a little bit. But these guys are really unsupported and super outnumbered, so I don't think this is going to go very well for them at all. They have managed to take down a couple of the spearmen at least, despite their low numbers, but ultimately I think that's going to be a loss of that unit right there. Yeah, I can see them now beginning to rout. There's nowhere for them to rout to, however, so it looks like they're just going to kind of stand and fight. And yeah, and fight to the very end for their mercenary masters. Yeah, those pikemen now assisting those Tirthair Wardens and pushing them back. These Greenway guards unsupported, not a match at all for these Citadel Guard spearmen, who outclassed them by orders of magnitude. Just not enough infantry over on this side of the bridge to really establish that foothold. They lost it a moment ago, and then they managed to regain it with the push of Sin of the Dark Cloud. But I think his allies really need to help him out here and support him a little bit more in order to maintain this very valuable beachhead into the defending lines. Let's see what we got going on in the back here. More battle-ready Dunedain now pouring in. This is Sin of the Dark Cloud committing, I think, the rest of his battle-ready Dunedain. His general, I believe, is in one of these. So this is a very, very risky push on the part of Sin of the Dark Cloud. He's also got his Cardalan Elders, who are 2 HP and not bad in melee at all. So this is actually a huge push on the part of the attackers. If they can get in there and before these guys can form up, they can really, really do a lot of damage to them. And I think quickly push back the spearman force. But it doesn't look like they're going to have the opportunity. I think most of these pikemen and these Citadel Guard are going to have a chance to form up into this choke point and again bottle up the attackers, which really they don't want at this point. They're quite, yeah, look at that. They've taken casualties at like 2-to-1 rate essentially over the over the defenders, and this is really starting to turn into a bit of a slaughter, I think, for the attacking forces. Over here, Saint Toady the Pacifist, tenacious as ever, pushing forward against this Gondor infantry with more of his Corsairs. It's a really tough engagement for them. We've seen it already. These Corsairs just aren't up to the task of fighting other heavy infantry. They lost here and they lost to the Swan Knights up on the hill, but they only have so many troops available to them, and I guess these Corsairs are as good as they can throw into this engagement. Although you can see, it looks like the elites are beginning to be mobilized, so we could see a push here from the elite forces of Harad and hopefully their Dunedain allies as well. Yeah, you can see some Cardolan Royal Guard here now moving forward. A couple units of them under Donald Kingslayer. These guys could be really important in pushing through here. They are 2 HP and really nice defensive stats and well armored, so they could definitely be the deciding factor in that engagement on the left, which is, it looks like that's where they're going. Let's see what we got over here. More of Donald Kingslayer's Archer Militia now moving into the fray. These guys are not the best archers, but against massed ranks of pikemen, they're definitely going to find their mark, and they will probably get a few kills, so that's every little bit helps, I suppose. And look at this. Defeat now certain for these pikemen and these spearmen who are trying to hold this choke point. The Citadel Guard and those Dol Amroth pikemen really not up to the task of fighting battle-ready Dunedain in a head-on engagement. I think we could finally see a big breakthrough, the big push that the attackers have been waiting for. Could be happening right here. Let's get a nice, there we go. See those Dunedain pushing hard, backed up by those Cardolan Elders. And now victory is certainty. I don't know. It's still very much in the balance for the attackers over here. Although look at this, looks like we are. Almost like Teemo is getting ready to support that push there from Sin of the Dark Cloud with his Nar Royal Archers. This is a really good position for them, actually. Look at this, defended pretty well on both sides from any incoming arrow fire, and although they are a little bit vulnerable to shots from the skirmish line up there on the top of the hill. Over here on the left, the attackers beginning to lose momentum again. These Gondor infantry proving to be more than a match for the light infantry that Harad has to send against these battle lines. This is really tough for the attacking players. They really needed to cut the defending armies off early and separate them and prevent them from getting into here and combining their forces, which we're seeing the results of that now. And I think it's going to be I think it's definitely going to be a bit of a defeat here for the attackers. Let's take a look at the defending reserves. Yeah, they just have so many troops left in here. Although a lot of them are pikemen, and they do have a lot of elites. So we'll see how that works out for them. Von Mountain and his full strength units of Tirith marksmen probably still have ammunition as well. More Citadel Guard. Yeah, it's gonna be a tough fight. Oh, looks like we're seeing some elites now. Some movement by Teemo, moving in some of his Serpent Guard. Actually, I think this is all of his Serpent Guard. 2 units of Serpent Guard now going up here on the right. That's a really nice, really strong push. I think at the same time that they're doing this, they need to support the other side as well, because those Corsair infantry are really starting to fall apart. Yeah, look at that. You can see now they're beginning to rout in the face of those Gondorian warriors. Yeah, perhaps some Trollmen backed up by some Corsair Savages I think would be enough to push through those Gondorians. Oh, let's go take a look over here. These dismounted Serpent Guard just kind of holding steady for the moment. Not really doing a whole lot. But I think now would be a great time for him to commit those warriors to this battle. Yeah, look at this. They're the dismounted Dunedain, or the battle-ready Dunedain, really starting to push through here. They've taken a lot of losses though, more than I would have expected fighting spear units. So yeah, things definitely looking very desperate over here. They do have some support from the Nar Royal Archers. You can see beginning to fire into the flank of these Dol Amroth pikemen. But I think they're also getting a little bit of friendly fire as well, which is definitely going to turn things around even further in favor of the defenders. Let's go ahead and let's speed that up just a little bit. See these battle-ready Dunedain really fighting hard. They're starting to get pushed back though. I think this is like the last gasp essentially of Sin of the Dark Cloud's forces. His general is in there. If his general is gone, then his army is gone. Oh, look at the back here. Help is on the way. You can see Teemo moving in with his Serpent Guard, who are now starting to take a little bit of fire from the archers up on the hill, but luckily they have their shields on that side, so they are going to be better protected than they might have otherwise been. Yeah, they're just muscling through these Dol Amroth lines. These pikemen and spearmen so reduced at this point. not able to hold back just the sheer mass of these 2 units of elite Haradrim infantry. Now they're beginning to get cut down. Look at this. Absolute slaughter. And still archer fire pouring in. So now these Tier 3 wardens are going to have to be committed to the fight. And they're going to get a nice flank charge off of these dismounted Serpent Guard. I think it looks like, yeah, he is starting to pull them off and charge with some of Sin of the Dark Cloud's battle-ready Dunedain up this hill towards the archer companies, trying to silence them. But I think this is going to be a bit of a mistake because there is still that Swan Knight unit up there.
The enemy general lies dead.
Oh no, that looks... I think that was Sin of the Dark Cloud's unit, so I think he's going to have to retreat now. Yeah, those battle rate unit now are going to start to rout, and I think the rest of his forces over here on the bridge are going to begin to rout as well. Yeah, pretty soon these gatekeepers are going to have to be fleeing for their lives, which leaves Harad basically unsupported in this push, which really, really is unfortunate for the Haradrim player. Teemo now pushing into these Dol Amroth archers, but they're going to meet, I think, the same fate as the Corsairs on the ground here did before them. This... most of these units look like they're out of ammunition anyway, so I think this is a bit of a mistake here with a very important unit, which could be being used down here to great effect. It looks like Metalized going to do the same thing that they did to the Corsairs earlier and begin to close in on the rear of the Serpent Guard with a unit of pikemen. That I think is disastrous for the attacking forces, losing a very important infantry unit here that they really need. And look at this. Same thing is happening to these poor Serpent Guard down here. Not enough infantry down here to prevent them from being completely surrounded by these Tier 3 wardens and another unit of pikemen. So some support is definitely needed on the part of these, on the part of the attacking forces. And it looks like Teemo is now bringing in some of his trollmen of Harad. These poor gatekeepers here now beginning to rout. This is Sin of the Dark Cloud's army now in full retreat with the loss of their general. These Corsair Savages moving forward to support those Trollmen. That's a really, really potent combination. They're both armor-piercing, and the Trollmen will be taking the brunt of the fighting with their 2, I believe they actually have 3 HP now in 0.85. And they'll be basically being the tank for these Corsair Savages who have a lot of really nice damage and a lot of AP. So that's going to be a tough fight, I think, for the Gondor forces right there. On the other side, we can see some of the Muhad tribesmen from Teemo now moving into battle. These Corsair archers look like they're all out of ammunition now. Same with these Haradrim archers, and those Muhad tribesmen now coming in to mop up what remains of these Gondor infantry who have done so much damage. Look at this. There's comparatively very few Gondor infantry in this choke point. There's a lot of lumbermen and a lot of dead Corsairs. But still, that Javelin unit, especially against the Citadel Guard, who don't seem too inclined to move out of this choke point, they could quickly find themselves taking at least half casualties in the unit from that unit of Muhad tribesmen tossing javelins directly into their face. So we may even see a bit of a breakthrough here on the left-hand side. That'd be huge for the attackers, I think, because then they can get some troops across here and begin to outflank the Gondorians, who have been outflanking them and surrounding them pretty much the entire battle. Yeah, Teemo here now moving in his Trollmen and his Corsair Savages. We're kind of pushing through the ranks of the Dol Amroth and Gondor defenders, but they're too thick this time to allow him any significant kind of breakthrough. So he's going to have to actually fight his way through here. And at the same time that he's pushing against his infantry unit, you can see a lot of arrow fire coming down from the combined forces of Vaughn Mountain, Metalized, and I believe Zenixia has some archers up there as well. Yeah, this is it. Muhad tribesmen now coming in. Muhad tribesmen are not bad in melee, and they do have AP, so this is kind of like the final push, I think, of Teemo's Haradrim warriors. Sid Toti the pacifist, I believe, is in here as well. And yeah, this could be like the last gasp, I think, of the attacking forces, who are now down to they're almost down to about 20% of their army, whereas the defenders still have about 50%. This is a really tough fight for them. Not being able to surround them early game has really started to play against them. Oh man, look at all this archer fire just coming in here. This is going to be devastating for these poor trollmen, and especially for those Corsairs who are so lightly armored. It's like Metalized now, moving some of his coastal wardens into position. These are javelin men. If they can get some volleys into these troops, oh look at this, this line here beginning to fall apart in the face of that arrow fire. And I think I tried to pull some of his trollmen off as well, and his Muhad tribesmen, but I'm not too sure what's happening over here. They're just kind of standing out in the out in the middle, taking arrows and now javelins from the forces of Metalized and his allies. Oh, here these Muhad tribesmen, I think they're going to start tossing some javelins at these Ithilien Rangers. I think a better option would be to toss them into the rear of the Citadel Guard. That can be really devastating for the Citadel Guard, and at the same time, he could be using these Muhat tribesmen over here to either engage their front line to hold them down, or to throw javelins into the other side of them, which would be very devastating. Although maybe these guys are out of ammunition, that's why they're now charging into the flank of these Ithilien Rangers. Not a bad fight for the Muhat tribesmen. They are quite potent, as I said, in melee. Looks like we have a White Knight charge here into these Trollmen of Harad, who are now heavily reduced. Look at this. Down to a mere 31, having a hard time against these White Knights. These White Knights are a General's Bodyguard unit, but they are very potent. So if by some miracle Harad manages to take these guys down, they could rout the army of Von Mountain off of the map and equalize this battle just a little bit. These poor Trollmen now basically strung out, surrounded, taking missile fire from every conceivable angle, and pinned in place by some Tier Thair Wardens, not really able to retreat or move forward. Although we have a little bit of another push here from St. Tody the Pacifist, who's now moving up his unit of Trollmen. This could really turn the tide, perhaps, in favor of these of the attackers. But I think it's too little, too late. Look at this, just not enough defenders left, I think, to take on the massive reserve force. And there's a couple units of Fountain Guard in there as well. So I think that the attackers may be doomed for this battle. So Harad will have to retreat and lick its wounds, and come back again to try and take Tol Falas. Still, given the position and the quality of their soldiers, they have done really well. 53% of this huge heavy infantry force is very respectable. Let's speed it up just a little bit. These Trollmen here now trying to move in and overlap these Tier Thair Wardens. They're going to quickly destroy this unit, but they are going to be pressed on the rear by the second unit of Tier Thair Wardens. Although these guys now down to 26 might not be the decisive factor in that battle and will get destroyed themselves. See St. Tody moving in his General's Bodyguard. His Casimir's Chosen into these Coastal Wardens, trying to shut down this unit that has doubtless done a lot of damage. But looks like Von Mountain sees what's happening here. He's going to move in his General's Bodyguard, his White Knights, who are thinking about a charge but pulled out at the last minute, not wanting to face these Casimir's Chosen head on. It's probably a good idea. You don't want to sacrifice your General's Bodyguard or put him in danger needlessly if it's not a fight you think that you can win. These poor Coastal Wardens, though, the result of those White Knights pulling out is that these Coastal Wardens are now going to meet their fate in combat against Casimir's Chosen. What do we got going on over here? These Muhat tribesmen have been routed. Managed to deal a respectable amount of casualties to the Ithilien Ranger unit, who are now out of ammunition, but unfortunately not enough to destroy them. I think those Coastal Wardens were probably tossing javelins into the back of them, which would have routed these guys very, very quickly. Casimir's Chosen now moving into the position. I think they're going to try and go for the back of the Citadel Guard. These Ithilien Rangers, though, not having it whatsoever, getting a nice flank charge off. Almost Casimir's Chosen. Looks like they managed to take down one or two of them, which is pretty impressive for a light missile unit like the Ithilien Rangers to do in melee. Yeah, take down a couple of them. Look at that. Down to 55 now. At the same time, St. Tody the Pacifist moving in to support his General's Bodyguard, coming around the rear of these Ithilien Rangers, who are not going to be able to last very long in combat against two of these heavy infantry units. Look at this. These guys still really healthy. 73 in the unit. This is a very tough infantry force yet for the defenders to deal with. These Casimir's Chosen now content to let the Trollmen deal with those Ithilien Rangers, have charged into the back of the Citadel Guard. We're going to very quickly find themselves in a pincer movement here, and going to be smashed between the remaining army of Timo, some of his Muhat tribesmen and archers, and the heavily armored bodyguard of St. Tody the Pacifist. Let's see what's going on over here. What do the attackers have left? Not really a whole lot. There's some archers here. Some of the routers from Sin of the Dark Cloud hanging around, not really doing too much. Looks like Donald the Kingslayer has some archers in here as well, and then now you can see the bodyguard of Timo moving up into position to begin firing at some of the archers up there in the hill. What I don't see are the Dunedain. There was still quite a lot of Dunedain left for Donald the Slayer, which I think we might see a bit of a betrayal right here. Yes, it would appear that that is the case. Donald the Slayer not really having a whole lot of confidence in the cause of the Haradrim, has now retreated all of his elite units back to this pass here so they can be preserved and saved on the campaign map for later, not wanting to risk the destruction of his entire company in the cause of the Haradrim. Still a couple units of Royal Guard here too. Look at this. This is a lot of important heavy infantry. If they were over there on the other side right now with this healthy unit of Trollmen of Harad and the Casimir's Chosen, they could be really changing the course of this battle right now, I think. These, looks like some Gondor dismounted Swan Knights from Metalized charging into battle against these Trollmen, but they're kind of out of position. They're in a bit of a column, which you can see right here, and the Trollmen of Harad now begin to wrap around on either side and get in behind them, and these Swan Knights pushing forward relentlessly, trying to fill this gap, but they are losing quite heavily to these Trollmen, who, despite being tired and outnumbered, are really doing a lot of work against this valuable heavy infantry unit. Looks like Zenixia sees what's happening, so he's going to take some of his Gondor archers, his archer companies, which I believe are stationed up here. He's going to bring them down and try and surround this Trollman of Harad unit, who sees what's happening. They're not going to let them get away with that quite so easily, and so they're going to attack this Gondor archer unit and take them and the Swan Knights on at the same time. At the same time, all this is happening, Zenixia moving around another unit of Gondor archers, getting into the back of these Trollmen, and it's going to be really unfortunate for this heavy infantry unit, who, now betrayed by their mercenary allies, is going to have a last stand here on the other side of the river, not really able to retreat anywhere. There is still a few Citadel Guard here, about 22, who I think are going to finish off the forces of Teemo. Yeah, you can see them beginning to rout here, and they're going to form kind of a wall that prevents any escape from the part of the Haradrim general and his elite guard. It's very unfortunate. Look at this over here. You can see another push. These Naru Royal Archers fighting. Oh, I think one of those arrows that we saw on the screen just a moment ago claimed the life of Teemo's general, which is going to send his army into full retreat. And if that wasn't enough, these White Knights now breaking through with the help of these Swan Knights and just cutting down everybody who's left on this bridge. Potentially could have been avoided if they had a few more Dunedain companies in the battle. These Trollmen of Harad, now defeat is almost certain for them. This poor unit, very strung out here, trying to fight these archers. They really managed to carve up this unit here, but now they're just kind of being surrounded and cut down. And it's over here, these Swan Knights now getting a little bit of revenge for the horrible casualties that they have suffered fighting these Trollmen. And it looks like another unit of Coastal Wardens from Metalized coming in to seal the fate of these Trollmen, who are very strong. Look at this. They're holding off all of these troops, but I think with those javelins in there, it's just a little bit too much for these guys. Yeah, those Citadel Guard Spearmen now dealing with the last of Teemo's light infantry. Sato the Pacifist trying to bring in some of his archers to support these guys, but I think the fate of these Castamir's Chosen and those Trollmen has been basically sealed at this point. Yeah, you can see, look at this, all of the reserves left in position behind this hill by the defenders, now swarming against this Castamir's Chosen. The third and final push against these attacking forces, going to see their armies off for good, I think. Yeah, it looks like these Corsair Archers now, I think they might be trying to retreat, or maybe they're just having a trouble in the bridge. No, looks like Teemo's forces now. You can see them in the back there retreating. I think these guys might follow them off the field. Very unfortunate. Looks like he's trying to salvage at least some of his army to be used in another battle. All these poor Castamir's Chosen bravely fighting on against these pikemen, taking down quite a lot of them. You can see a lot of dead Gondorian troops here as well, but it's just not going to be enough, unfortunately. Just too few of them left, and with the betrayal of their allies, the fate of the attacking forces has been sealed. So let's go ahead and let's fast forward a little bit and witness the final stand of Castamir's Chosen. Oh, looks like they might be routing. Yeah, they're definitely routing, and that is going to be the end of the battle. A victory for the defenders, who are going to hold on to the province of Tol Falas. Harad and her allies are going to have to regroup and re-strategize and come back again another day and try and take this province, which is a very key province that will allow them a bridgehead into Gondor to begin an assault on the southern parts of that country. So I hope you guys enjoyed our battle. It was very bloody, very interesting with all of the roleplay rules that are a part of it. And coming up next, you're going to see some Skyrim. Yes, we're going to be picking up again with our Skyrim roleplay Let's Play. I hope you guys are excited, because we're going to be exploring Wolfskull Cavern. The second part of the happening of Wolfskull Cavern is going to come out in just a few hours. So yeah, I'll see you guys then. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.